Hello and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to talk about type of muscles. So there are three types of muscles: skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. Skeletal muscle has voluntary movement. It is consciously controlled and innervated by the somatic nervous system. They are striped and multinucleated. Fatigue is a consequence of suffering oxygen debt and a disparity between how much oxygen the muscles require to produce sufficient energy in the form of ATP and how much oxygen is being provided through breathing. Basically tells us about the oxygen debt. Blood and lymph residing in blood vessels and lymph vessels may be periodically squeezed due to the motion of surrounding skeletal muscles. This movement assists in returning fluid from the periphery of the body where blood pressure tends to be low. Second, smooth muscle. It is involuntary and is controlled and innervated by autonomic nervous system. That means we cannot control it. Smooth muscle lines the digestive tract, bladder, uterus, blood vessel walls, and other regions of the body, responsible for transportation of material or peristalsis. Both skeletal and smooth muscles are made up of thick and thin filaments. They both respond to input from the nervous system to undergo contraction. In smooth muscle, the myosin and actin fibers are not organized into sarcomeres. Smooth muscle can exhibit myogenic activity, which is contraction without nervous system input. The common belief is that there is a second brain in the gut. Unlike skeletal muscle, smooth muscles are not striated and only have a single nucleus at the cell center. Third, cardiac muscle. It is unique to the heart and contains characteristics of both skeletal and smooth muscle. Like skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle is striated and composed of sarcomere. Like smooth muscle, cardiac muscle is involuntary and each muscle cell only contains one nucleus. Cardiac muscle cells are separated by intercalated discs. As you can see here, smooth muscles, wall of hollow organs, vessels, respiratory passageways, whereas cardiac muscles are present in wall of heart, skeletal muscle attached to bones. Smooth muscles are tapered at each end and branching networks, and they are non-striated. Whereas cardiac muscles, they have branching networks, special membranes, intercalated disc between cells, single nucleus, and lightly striated. Skeletal muscles are long and cylindrical, multinucleated, heavily striated. Smooth muscles have involuntary action. They produce peristalsis, contract and relaxes slowly, and may sustain contraction. Whereas cardiac muscles, they are involuntary, pump blood out of the heart, self-excitatory, but influenced by nervous system and hormones. Skeletal muscles are voluntary. They produce movements at joints, stimulated by nervous system, contracts and relaxes rapidly. These intercalated discs contain many gap junctions that allow for ions to rapidly flow and action potentials to be quickly propagated throughout the heart, resulting in efficient and coordinated contraction. Cardiac muscle cells exhibit myogenic activity or electrical activity independent of the brain that regulates the rhythm of the heart. These electrical signals start at the cluster of specialized electrical cells at the top of the heart known as sinoarterial node. The electrical signals then propagate throughout the heart, triggering muscle contraction. From this SA node, the signal travels through the atrioventricular node, AV node, and the bundle of His. Lastly, the signal spreads through the Purkinje fibers and the branching fibers in the walls of the heart ventricles that induce contraction in the cardiac muscles. The differences between skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Skeletal muscles are voluntary. Smooth muscle and cardiac muscles are involuntary. Skeletal muscle, they have somatic innervation, and smooth muscle and cardiac muscle have autonomic. Skeletal muscle are multinucleated, whereas smooth muscle and cardiac muscles have one or two nuclei per cell. Skeletal muscle are striped and cardiac muscles as well, whereas smooth muscles are non-striped. Skeletal muscles require calcium to contract, as well as smooth and cardiac muscle. Skeletal muscles have forceful contraction, whereas smooth muscle has continuous contraction, and cardiac muscles also have forceful contraction. Skeletal muscles are attached to bones throughout the body. Smooth muscles are attached to bladder, blood vessel, uterus, and intestine, and cardiac muscles are found only in the heart.